Are you a middle school music teacher looking to make song analysis engaging and enjoyable for your students? Well, you're in the right place. Hi, I'm Julia from Julia Teaching Resources, and I'm a music teacher with over 20 years of experience in the grades 7 to 12 music classroom. In this video, we're going to explore the secrets to teaching song analysis effectively so your music students not only understand it, but actually love it. Stay tuned and discover the resources and strategies that will transform your song analysis music classroom. Let's get started. Making song analysis easy with these 5 simple steps. So welcome. So what we're going to look at today are the 5 steps that I have been using for years, and it was a lot of trial and error once I got it right and down the process down pat, it made it so much easier for both myself and for my students' side, because I knew how to teach it, I knew how to make it successful, as I said, for my kids, so that we got the results that we needed in assessment at the end, which is what we're all looking for. So basically we're going to go look at pre-teach all the music terms, pick an element of music and a song for study and analysis. We're going to look at modeling how to do a song analysis with your students. We're going to use past student samples as a teaching tool, and I'm going to show you how to use ChatGPT, which is a free AI tool at the time of this recording, to actually produce some other samples that you can use in a lesson. And then your students are ready for independent song analysis, which is a perfect way to assess their true understanding of the elements of music or the concepts of music, depending on what you're teaching. Hi, I'm Julia from Julia Teaching Resources, and my mission is to help busy music teachers like you in classrooms around the world with the resources that you need to teach music appreciation to inspire the next generation of musicians. Now, before we get started, if you haven't got this freebie, make sure that you go and grab it. Use that link that's down there. Okay, juliajulia.com/makeover your music curriculum. It's a freebie. As I said, it's a free download. It gives you lots of ideas, practical ideas on how to make over your music curriculum, if that's what you're looking for. So we all know that teaching song analysis to your middle school and general music students and beyond, in older students as well, can be a bit of a roller coaster. But it can also be one of the most rewarding experiences, especially when you can see when they finally get it, when that light bulb goes on. Music students in grades 6 to 9 are at a crucial age for both musical and literacy development, and they benefit immensely from understanding the intricacies of music song analysis, especially through the lens of the elements of music or the concepts of music, if that's what you're teaching. Now, as I said, I am a music teacher. My main job is to teach music. However, I do understand that as a music teacher, I am part of a much bigger picture for each child. And for each child, it is really important that they get a fantastic grip on literacy. And if I can help that in the music classroom and give them the tools they need in my classroom that can be used beyond the classroom in other classrooms, well, isn't that a win-win for everybody? So the challenge, of course, is to keep them engaged, as in your students engaged throughout the process. The good news is that there is a solution for you. In this video, you'll be guided through the 5 steps, okay, the 5 steps that I've been using for years to make song analysis not only just accessible, but also enjoyable for your students, all thanks to these fantastic music song analysis teaching resources. So this particular bundle, okay, if you go and grab yourself this particular bundle, it's got all about what I'm talking in it, and it's ready and done for you. Okay, so it's got listening questions, it's got marking rubrics, task descriptions, and everything. And these are exactly what I use. All right, so just to break it down, projects 1 and 2, I do that in year 9. Okay, that's generally, I do that in year 9. I have used it for some year 8 classes, but generally not. The year 8 classes, I tend to use a different project, which is at a much simpler level. Okay, but there we go. We got that's my year 9. Projects 3 and 4 I use in my grades 10. Projects 5 and 6 I use in year 11, because in year 12 we're doing something even more difficult beyond this. Okay, so but as I said, that's how I break it down for when I'm teaching. And in projects 1 and 2 is a certain number of elements of music. in number 1, a certain elements of music. In number 2, grade projects 3 to 5, use all the elements of music. Okay, and then the song comparison only uses the first one uses a certain number, then the other one uses a certain number, which is 3 and 4 are different, and number 5 uses them all. Okay, and number 6 is 3 songs. Okay, so that's how it breaks down, and that's how I've stepped it out with my kids. Now I'm talking about grade 6 to 9 here, but this can be used beyond it, this particular assessment, and obviously for younger years. But that's where this one is actually geared at. So before you begin, you can't expect your kids to do any sort of song analysis if they haven't got a really good grasp on all of the music terms. Now, there's plenty of videos here on this channel, as well as over on my blog at juliajulia.com, where you can get stacks and stacks and stacks of videos about music terminology there and ways to teach it. So I'm not going to go into that now, but just letting you know there's lots of information around for that. But prior preparation is key. It's like anything. Like if you're building a foundation for a house, if you're building a house, you can't just stick it on the thing, like on the ground. You have to have a foundation, otherwise it will fall down. And the same with music in terms of song analysis and any sort of music, really. You have to have a really solid foundation, whether that be in technique, whether that be in how to practice, as I said, music terminology, all those things. You have to have a solid foundation to build upon. Okay. So preparing your students for the exciting task of conducting their own song analysis requires laying a solid foundation in music terms and vocabulary. To kickstart this process, make certain that you've taught your music students the necessary terminology that is crucial for their achievement in the music classroom song analysis. Okay. For an in-depth guide on teaching music terms to your students, feel free to delve into the details offered in this blog post, which I'm going to show you, and there's also a YouTube video in a minute, the thumbnail for that shown below, or go to the video. So as I said, there's a more recent music teaching terms there, but I've got stacks. All of my blog posts, if you go to juliajulia.com and go down to scroll down the page and hit blog posts, the elements of music. Elements of music is the first blog post you'll see. And then from there, you can go to all the other elements of music. And that discusses all the terminology free. And I know a lot of schools use it. I know a lot of people use it. Music teachers use it as a teaching tool. And that's what I did it for. Okay. But as I said, you can go to that particular actual blog there. And this is the actual video that goes with it. That's on this channel. So teaching music terms made easy, 5 simple classroom activities to try. So number 1. So let's get started with step 1, starting with song analysis worksheets. So the best way is to do, I'll talk about this in a roundabout way. So for anything, any sort of teaching, you've got to do 3 things. You've got to pre-teach it. Well, I should say 4. Pre-teach whatever terminology you need. Then you've got to model it. You've got to guide your students through it, and then let them have an independent go at it. And if you don't do that, you can't just expect when they go to independent that they're going to be able to do it, because you've got to actually show them how to do it. Okay. So starting with the song analysis worksheets is a perfect way to do the modeled part. So before you even think about any sort of song analysis with your students, you'll first need to decide a few things. So you also need to think about, well, what elements of music am I going to focus on? Is it dynamics? Is it rhythm? Is it melody? Whatever. You choose one. Just choose one. What is the music topic you are studying? So are you studying some sort of world music? Are you studying medieval, classical, romantic, pop, hip hop? Doesn't matter. Pick something. Okay. What do your students already know? Okay. What do they come into your classroom knowing? What sort of music do they enjoy listening to? And what are the literacy skills of my students? So when I go back to that, what do my students enjoy listening to? For example, there is good old In the Hall of Mountain King, which we all know. And I like to do that with a comparison. There's a house music version of it, and the kids really enjoy it. I say, look, they actually enjoy the classical one too, but they enjoy the house music version a lot better. I said, look, this is the thing. So again, there could be a pop song, and there's that group I use a lot, Postmodern Jukebox, that does more jazz style versions of them. So again, you're getting that different sort of genres, so that kids can have some sort of access to it. Okay. But it's really important to use music they like. And there's a train going past. So once you have the answers to those questions, it will make it easier, the rest of the song analysis, it will make the rest of the process of song analysis much easier. We get that. The answers to these questions are like little foundation stones for your analysis journey. They bring structure to the learning process, helping your students get a grip on the fundamental music concepts. Once you've decided on where to start, what music to focus on, and for your song analysis, you might need some resources to help and guide you and your students through the process. So, as I said, we're talking about worksheets, but the thing is, you've got to have an idea of what you're going to study first. No need to reinvent the wheel. As I said, you don't have to make it difficult on yourself. You can check out the Song Analysis Project bundle, which I've just shown you the cover of. And in this bundle of the Elements of Music Song Analysis resources, you'll find task descriptions, marking rubrics, biography, graphic organisers. Because I used to find when I asked my kids to actually do and I'd literally ask them for a paragraph on the musician, composer, whatever they were doing. And then I get a 3-page essay biography. And I was like, no, I don't want that. So that's why I use these graphic organizers. It condenses it down. And it's like, I only need this much because I want this much on the song analysis. And covering each of the elements of music, okay, as you can see there. And it's like having everything you need in the one spot. So, as I said, in these music appreciation projects, the song analysis, you get a cover page for the kids. You get the assignment there with the task description. You probably have a different task description page that you need to use for your own school. Go ahead and just copy and paste whatever you need to in there. And then there's also these listening questions for each of the elements of music. Okay, so each of them. And you choose which pages and which elements you want to do. You might only need to do one. You might only do one. It doesn't matter. Just start with one. So, number 2, picking the right song for analysis. I touched on this a bit, but it's still really important to get the right song. So choosing the right song for analysis can make a world of difference for both you and your music students. The song you select can either ignite that spark in your students or leave them scratching their heads going, I don't know why you chose that piece of music. That's, in their words, they'll let you know pretty quickly if it's not music they like. So it's crucial to find songs that align with your curriculum, as well as that will engage your students. You know your students. There's no point me here from Australia being a woman that says, okay, in my early 50s, and say to you, you really need to play a song from Australian 80s pub rock music. You probably if you're from America, you're probably going, I have no idea what she's talking about. If I said to you, you must study Cold Chisel or you must study Midnight Oil, you're probably going, again, who is she talking about? These are bands from that era. So, but you're probably going, I don't know what she's talking about. So you need to talk about what's right with your kids, okay? To find the right music for song analysis, first research a few options for your students, play them in class. So this is one way you can do it, and ask them then to vote which one they would like to study during the song analysis process. Because the thing is, they will get pretty sick of this song because you have to play it quite a bit to get through the analysis. Hint, when you start this with your students, choose songs that are more simple in nature. It will be much easier for your students to hear the answers for the song analysis questions. And that's really important. There's no point picking, okay, say you're doing texture, don't pick a Bach fugue and then expect the kids to be able to pick out all the polyphonic parts. They're going to be looking at you like, I have no idea what you were talking about, miss. You'd be better off to pick a song, like just a pop song, and you can still do texture because the instruments will change between each section, and it's much easier for them to access because they're familiar with the music. Then introduce other things. Number 3, classroom modelling of the song analysis, which I sort of briefly touched on. So incorporating classroom modelling of the song analysis process means giving your students a live demo of how it's done. In other words, we're going to do this together, okay? It's a hands-on approach that makes the song analysis process tangible and easier for them to know what to do when they actually have to do this independently. Whether you're diving into melody, rhythm, or tonality, doesn't matter which element of music you're using, our teaching resources that I've been talking about provide support for classroom modelling. It's all about making it more accessible for you and your students. So to model, and this is basically the process I go through, okay? So I've pre-taught, I've chosen a song that fits my topic and fits my students, okay? And then we go through this process, okay? I choose a worksheet or an element of music that I'm going to use, and this is how I actually do it. So model the song analysis process following these steps. Choose an element of music and the set of questions to use for your song analysis. Now, I have different levels of questions for different levels of ability. And so if I've got a class, say my year 7 class, I've got maybe a top class and a class that struggles a bit more with literacy, I will give them different questions. We're going to still do the same song. We are still going to go through the same process, but I'm not giving them all the same questions. Okay, so that sometimes that higher ability class has got maybe 5 questions to consider, and the lower ability class we're looking at 3. Okay, the big ideas. Okay, choose a song to study. Show your students the song analysis questions and discuss what each question means. Check for understanding of any terms that they might be struggling with. So say you're doing melody, and the first question is, what instrument is performing the melody? Now, I can tell you, I say this every time. We have this discussion. What is a melody? Okay, how do we know what instrument's playing the melody? And I'll always say, a melody cannot be performed by the drum kit. And I will always get some kid who did not listen and writes down, for melody performed by the drum kit. And I go, oh my goodness, what was I doing? Okay, I was taught nothing. Okay, but I go through all those things. So another question might be, is the melody conjunct or disjunct, so in steps or leaps? And then I'll model that. What does that mean to be in steps or leaps? Have a listen, okay, and we talk about that. Another question might be, what instruments, melodic instruments can you hear, or pitched instruments can you hear? So again, you'd say, don't put down instruments like your untuned percussion. Don't put down the drums. Don't put down tambourine. Don't put down it, because they can't have pitch. Okay, but what instruments can have pitch? And you talk about that. All right, so you literally go through every single question before and talk about it before any listening happens. Okay, so then when you're doing this, you're discussing possible music terms that could be used for each question. You might want to record these music terms somewhere for your students to refer and use. Now, I'm lucky that in my particular classroom, okay, I have a whiteboard that I use for display, so an interactive whiteboard that is projecting the questions, and then I have another space where I'm actually writing on. Okay, so then I can have the questions displayed, and I can have I'm writing over here the possible answers. So it might be number 1, 2, 3, and we write down possible terms and instruments to use. Okay, we write those down, again, depending on the class. Not all classes I'll do that, but the first time through I probably would. Okay, then you play the music. So you notice that we've not played any music yet. We've done all this all this other work first. Okay, play the music and let your students listen for the answers. So just listen. Just let them listen. You might need to play the music a couple of times, even if it's only a small section of the music. Now, I generally don't play, when I'm doing analysis, the whole song, unless it's really short. But usually, say if it's a pop song, I'll do an intro, a verse and a chorus, and maybe another verse and chorus, maybe, depending on how long we're going to do that. But if we're only doing, it's about that. So it's maybe a minute to a minute 30, because I find once I go beyond that, they start getting a bit antsy in the seat. So let's just keep it short and sweet, and play it a couple of times, and you go, okay, all right, have a little discussion. Okay, what have we noticed? What, blah, blah, blah. Let's listen again. Okay, so then you discuss the answers to the questions and model a correct response with your students by recording it all for the students to see. So you are literally writing down, if the question was, what instrument plays the melody? And you could say, the melody was sung by the female vocalist, okay, in the verse, and the male vocalist in the chorus. Whatever it happens to be. I'm making that up, okay? But you write it down and you say, okay, we're going to write this down together. And you go through that. It is a slow process for every single question. The first time is always much slower. It gets quicker. So if needed, you listen to the music again and check the answers to each song analysis question, and discuss the answers to check for student understanding. Now, it might be some kid goes, but I heard, especially when they're talking about instruments they could hear, and they might say, actually, I thought I heard a xylophone in there, miss. Let me check. Okay, and we'll all go back and I'll say, let me put your hand up, or give me some sort of signal when you think you're hearing it. And usually they're pretty right. And it's like, oh, I didn't hear that before, so thank you very much. And then you add it to the thing. And it's okay. And I actually really prefer that I make mistakes in front of my kids, because they understand then it's actually okay to make mistakes. It's all right. We all make mistakes. So that's the process I go through. Okay, this is step 4. Setting up students for success with song analysis samples. Now, in a minute, I'm going to swap screens and I'm going to show you how to actually make some other samples really quickly and easily used with ChatGPT. But once you've modeled the song analysis process with your class, okay, you'll need to think of other ways to set up your students for success. One way is by providing them with song analysis samples, okay? So when I'm talking song analysis, I'm asking my kids to actually answer the questions, okay? And then I want them to actually put it into some sort of written form, okay? So that might be a paragraph. Now, depending on your school, it will depend on what paragraph structure you use. I've been at schools where we've used PEAL, TXXC, TXXL. I've heard of MEAL. I prefer to use music, which is the one that I use with my kids. But you know, it doesn't matter. Whatever structure you're using, use that format for the kids, because it really is helpful for both you and them. Okay, so one way is providing them with samples. It's important to give your students a wide variety of samples, both good and bad. Through the study of song analysis samples, your students will hopefully find their own aha moment that they can boost their confidence. The song analysis bundle comes with sample analyses. Okay, I've got some in there, but with AI tools like ChatGPT, you can easily create other samples for your students to use. Now, and that's where, well, I'm going to show you that in a minute. Now, the best thing is, like, I've been keeping samples for years, whether it be performance samples, composition samples, written samples. I've got samples forever. And the best thing is I can say to a kid, because, you know, again, where I'm teaching, we've got a selective stream. So the kids have had to sit an exam to get into that class. And then we've got, you know, classes that are at differing abilities. And I've got samples from that selective stream where the writing example's not that great. And I can say to them, what class do you think this was from? And they might tell me, and I'll go, actually, it was a student from blah, blah, blah. I'll never tell them which student it is. And they'll go, oh, I can write better than that. I said, I know you can. So you're going to do that for me, aren't you? So it gives them that light bulb moment, because even the kids in the selective stream, not all of them are great writers. They might be great mathematicians or scientists, but they're not necessarily great writers. So it's good for those samples. Okay, so I'm just sharing my screen for a minute, only because I want to show you, these are some samples that I've literally just pinched bits out of for my students. I'm going to show you how I use these in ChatGPT, but it's really hard to show you both screens when I'm doing it in ChatGPT. So you'll just see things pop in. So I've literally got some paragraphs from some students. Okay, these are all old samples, but this is the prompt I'm always going to use. And this is the best thing about ChatGPT. You can put in whatever grade level, but this is the prompt that I like, and it usually gives me a good sample. But sometimes it's really good if it's a bad sample, because it's really great for kids to understand that, like, oh, that doesn't make any sense. Yeah, why doesn't it make sense? And it's a great talking point and a great teaching point. So that's the prompt I'm literally going to use. Can you please rewrite this student sample paragraph once at a grade 6 student writing level, and the second at a grade 8 student writing level? Thanks. I've been taught that in a lot of the stuff that I've been using with AI, they say, use your manners. So I do. I find it much easier with it. But as I said, so there's 3 samples that I'm going to show you. Okay, so you can see an idea of what it looks like, what ChatGPT can do. So I'm going to do that for you now. Alrighty, so this is my ChatGPT, okay, screen. Ignore all those bits there. So I'm literally going to copy my prompt in. Copy paste, Control V. Now, if you hold the Shift key down and hit Enter, then it gives you a space to write the next bit. So I'm just going to copy paste this next one in. And so this, like, I gave you samples in one of these assignments that's got all their spelling mistakes and everything. So it's like nothing's been fixed, because that's how they gave it to me. So that's what we get. So as you can see, of course, please provide sample paragraph. Oh, I thought I did. Mustn't have. Control V. Oops, my mistake. And what I love about ChatGPT, as I said, it's just given me 2 different ones. So if we just go for this particular one, I'll make that a little bit bigger. Alrighty, so that was the original one. Pitch and music refers to the height or depth of sound, the songs, you know, etc. I'm not going to read it to you. And it was actually a pretty good sample. But grade 6 level, it's actually taken it down. So pitch and music means how high or low sound is in the song. Okay, pitch is used in different ways. Both songs have melody sung by a person, but one was a guy tenor voice. And so you can see the language is a little bit not necessarily as formal as you'd like it to be, whereas in the grade 8 level one, okay, but you could write down grade 9, grade 10, it's up to you, whatever samples you want. Pitch in the realm of music I wouldn't necessarily write things like that, but it's a good, again, great discussion point. Pitch in the realm of music relates to the relative highness or lowness of sound. In the musical compositions, blah, 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 pitch is employed in an array of distinctive manners. Both pieces feature vocal melodies, however, they contrast notably. So you can see that it's actually used a lot of other flowery language. And again, that's perfect because you can go give the samples to groups and the kids and just get them to highlight, okay, where is actually the musical terminology being used? What are they actually saying and what's actually fluff? And then you can work out and go, well, what can we do? And why is this good? Why is this bad? And it's a fantastic discussion. So let me just go here and I'll just do another one for you. So I'm just going to do that again, copy, paste. And get the sample up again. I'm not sure if you can see this or not, but we'll soon find out. This is a shorter one. Make sure it goes in there this time. Helps if I actually do that. Control V, not Shift V. All right. And this means you've got 3 samples. Okay, and that's perfect because you always want, a variety of samples for the kids. And it was funny, I've always been doing this. I've always done this sort of thing with my kids. And we were doing some teaching rounds with, one of them was an English teacher. He was really surprised that I used samples, writing samples. And he's like, never thought to do that. I'm thinking, you're an English teacher. You should be using that. So it's interesting. You can see that this one is actually, again, it's not too bad. So when it says the speed of both songs is medium, not too fast or not too slow, it's a fantastic, again, another teaching point. Well, what word could we use instead of medium? Okay, so moderato. All right, the drums help to keep the beat in both songs. Plus, in both songs, the notes are short and not connected, which is called staccato. Again, that's fantastic. It's actually got a proper terminology there. There is also a repeated drum pattern in both songs called a rhythmic ostinato. Duration works in the same way in both songs, making them stay in time and flow smoothly. It sounds all right. It's all right. It's not fantastic, but again, this is where you want it to have that information and have that different levels. So ChatGPT is a fantastic tool for student levels. So the last step in this, so I've just shown you, I said song samples, and how to get some different samples so that you're not having to reinvent the wheel yourself, okay? Makes it so much quicker, is the independent song analysis. And this is where you've done all the hard work with your classes and you give it to your kids and you just hope that it'll soon tell you if you've taught it or not, because you'll get the information back at you, whether you've actually taught it or if you haven't. And you might find that you've actually taught maybe one element not as well as the others, okay? And which is, always a good thing as well. So the last one is independent song analysis listening assignment. So you might choose not to do this one, okay? But I would suggest that you do, even if you don't do it as an actual assessment so much as something that's going to be marked and put into a report card. But it's a really good idea, again, as I said, just to do this and to check on the understanding of your students, okay? So now that you've walked your students through the song analysis process, it's time for them to complete their own independent song analysis assignments. This is where your students will put their newfound song analysis skills to the test. They get to express their understanding of the elements of music through analysis. The Song Analysis Bundle resource even offers ideas for assessing and evaluating the work, making your job a little bit easier. So teaching song analysis does not need to be an uphill battle in your music classroom. With the right resources and teaching approach, it can be the highlight of your middle school music appreciation curriculum. Our teaching resources, the ones that I've been showing you, including the Music Song Analysis Project Bundle, are classroom tested. I've been using them for years and have been tailor-made to simplify the process for both you and your music students. Whether you're starting with listening song analysis worksheets, okay, start with a worksheet, picking engaging in songs, using song analysis, writing samples, and modeling in the classroom, or setting independent assignments, you'll find everything you need in the bundle. As said, I want to try and make things easier for you because I know your time is precious. I know mine is. And I'll have to say, one of the best things I did for myself many years ago was create these actual resources because I just recycle them every year. The thing that changes is the song, the music we listen to. It's all I have to do. It's fantastic. So let's just recap what we did. So the 5 steps were pre-teach all the music terms. So you have to have every bit of music vocabulary that your students need done first. Okay, that happens before the song analysis. So you've taught all that stuff first. Pick an element of music and song for study, okay, and analysis. Model how to do the analysis with your students, okay? Use past student samples as a teaching tool, okay, which is your guided process, alrighty? And then students are ready for the independent song analysis. They have a go on their own. So that's the simple steps. Pre-teach, pick a song and pick an element, model how to do it, use student samples, and then let them have a go on their own. So if you'd like more ideas on how to make your music classes more interesting and fun for your students, try these 5 ways to make over your music curriculum download, which is there at juliagu.com/makeover your music curriculum. Go and grab yourself a copy. Or if you'd like another free resource that goes with the Elements of Music mind maps. Now, these mind maps are perfect for the song analysis process as well, especially if you've got kids that like to do things in a more visual way. These are fantastic, okay? So I use them a lot, and I didn't talk about them in this particular video, but they are really, really, really good for that sort of a process, okay? Instead of using worksheets, you might want to use the mind maps. And again, if you want that free copy, juliajulia.com/free mind maps. And if you'd like to know more, you can find more information about this blog post or this video, plus everything you need to know about the elements of music on the website, juliagu.com. And if you'd like to buy any of the resources, you can go find them over at my Teachers Pay Teachers store. Thank you so much for watching. So I hope you've actually got something from this, and that I've made a bit of sense for you in that it's a process. Now, this song analysis process is not something that you do in 1 or 2 lessons. This is something that takes a bit of time over a period of time. You have to do this over a series of quite a few lessons. So you can't expect them to actually be able to do it straight away. And that was a really bad click. That's a better one. But, you know, you've got to be able to give your kids a bit of a go. And as I said, I'm not saying you have to do this every single lesson. I would suggest, like, I break it up. So we might go, we do a bit of what I call this theory, okay, written work, and then we do a bit of prac. We do a bit of theory, we do a bit of prac, okay? And so that way it might be half lessons, depends on how long your lessons are. But you might break it up that you do 1 full lesson on this type of activity, and the next lesson is a practical lesson. And then you do that, you know, and you keep breaking it up. It's up to you how you want to teach it. But it's a process. It's something that they learn. It's something that they remember. And I have to say, I've got kids that I have taught, like this one particular young man that I'm thinking of when he was in year 7. He just got it. Like, honestly, you could just see that light bulb moment, and he just got it. And, you know, he took music as an elective for year 9 and 10. He's in year 11 music now. And again, he just got it. And it was just so nice to see. I mean, the other kids have too, don't get me wrong, but it was just really like, he was like, I get this, miss, I can do this. And I've had even year 12 students go, oh, this is like doing something in, yes, it is. You can use the same process that you're using in other subjects here. Or if I've taught you here, you can use that process in another subject. And I'm sorry, but even as a music teacher, I can't, I need my kids to be able to understand that literacy and having that level of literacy skills, okay, that analytical skills, that critical thinking skills, which is what we're teaching them through this process, is so important. It is important for their life beyond the classroom, especially the music classroom. Anyway, until next time, I'm Julia from GU Teaching Resources, and happy teaching. Bye.